and welcome to another edition of Active Living. We have our traveling man, Jim Robeck, here with us again today, ladies and gentlemen, and he's been traveling around the world again. So, Jim, where you been this time?
Well, I went to Morocco, George.
Morocco?
Yeah, it's on the northwest corner of Africa. Fantastic
Why in the world
place.
would anybody want to go to Morocco?
Something different to go and see.
Okay. Well, geez, tell me a little bit about your trip now. So you headed off to Morocco. You got there within what, the last couple weeks or so?
Yes, 2 weeks ago I came back, yes. And basically we flew right from Detroit to Schiphol Airport in the Netherlands. It takes about 6 hours and 50 minutes, which wasn't too bad. But then I had a 5-hour layover in the Schiphol Airport, and it was black. I mean, there's nobody in the airport practically. We showed in about 5:30 in the morning. And then we waited, and we had a 3.5-hour flight there to Casablanca.
Oh, Casablanca.
Yes.
Seems like it was an old movie there, right?
Almost. And it's interesting there, you know, the movie Casablanca was never filmed in Morocco. It was filmed in Hollywood only.
Oh, was it really?
Yes,
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it was filmed in Hollywood only.
All right. Well, anyway, tell us a little bit about what. So I assume you were staying at some nice hotels there.
Oh, absolutely. They got great hotels there. So when we landed, it took about an hour and 15 minutes. We actually didn't stay in Casablanca. We flew into the airport. And then we went to Rabat, which is the capital of Morocco.
Okay.
Now, Casablanca has a population around 5 million. Rabat, which is the capital, has about 2 million.
Wow.
And so I'll give you a little background. It's kind of interesting here that you talked about the Casbah. The Casbah is what they call a fortified house. And a Qasar is the gated community or the walls around the city.
Okay.
And within the city, there's called a Medina, where all these souks are, where you sell a lot of their wares, you know, from everything from meat to fish to chicken to everything, camel meat, everything is actually in there.
Really?
Yeah, unbelievable. There's thousands of these little stalls that people sell things. It's
How's
amazing.
it smell there, Jim?
No problem whatsoever.
No.
Nothing really overwhelming. It was very nice, very clean. The other interesting thing about the Morocco flag, remember the Star of David has 6 points to the Jewish one?
Right.
The Moroccan has 5 stars.
Okay.
Or 5 points on a star. And it represents 5 things. The first thing is called the uniqueness of God, which is descent of the Prophet Muhammad.
Okay.
The second star is where the Muslim has to pray 5 times per day. The third point of the star has to be something where they do charity.
Okay.
The fourth one is they have to visit Mecca once in their lifetime. And the fifth star is that they have to fast during Ramadan for 30 days where they don't eat or drink water during the whole day. It's
for
amazing.
1 day?
No, for the whole month. Well, each day of the 30 days of the month.
Right.
So every day is like our 40 days that we do in the Catholic religion.
Okay.
Something where they abstain from there. So it's kind of interesting regarding some of the key points of what the Muslim countries have.
Whenever you talk about Muslim these days in the United States, you're talking about some other issues. Did you run into any of that at all when we were on this trip? Like, you know, they're going to try to do away with the Christians?
No, in this case here, well, it's interesting too. It's near the end of the program, but still, there's only one Catholic church in Morocco. It's in Casablanca.
Okay.
It's the Notre Dame de Lourdes Cathedral,
Okay.
and it's the only place we visited near the end of the trip there. No, it was interesting there, as I was explaining to other people, is that 75% of the population dressed very westernized. Only the older women wear the long dresses and all that, and a lot of the men too. But the young ladies, the kids now, they wear Levi's. Only the young girls, they wear the scarf on their head, but didn't see anything about where they have the habibs there, the burqas and stuff. That was probably less than 1%. You wouldn't know that you were in a Muslim country unless you saw the mosques that are there in the various cities.
Okay.
And that's interesting too. The minarets there in Morocco, they're square. Almost in every other country, they're round. The minarets where the prayer comes from,
right.
They're all square in Morocco. I
No
didn't
kidding.
believe that. It was incredible.
Wow.
Really incredible, yes. So then, like I say, we stayed in Rabat there. We visited it's a fortified city, and we saw the royal palace there where the king has a palace there, and then he has another one in another city. And you could only get within 500 feet of the front gate. They had like four different types of guards there. They had the army, they had the palace guards, and they had the local police, and then they had like a special guy. He was the head of over all of them, and it guards each door that leads into the palace there. And
so it sounds to me like they might have been a little bit concerned about maybe some terrorism.
Maybe, but they were all protective of their king, and he's done a fabulous job there. I mean, the country is so advanced. They got super highways. The building that's going on in Casablanca and all the city is just phenomenal. I mean, beautiful buildings. And Casablanca is probably the most wealthiest place. I mean, you have to be very wealthy to live in Casablanca because it's just the real hub of Morocco today.
Now, where do they get all their money? Is this like oil money?
No, they have no oil there. Surprisingly, the oil costs there, the gasoline costs about $4 a gallon, almost like here. In fact, more. They have no oil. They have mostly agriculture, and they're the third largest producer of phosphate behind United States and Russia. So that's it. And then their olives are naturally the big thing.
Okay.
So they're mostly agriculture. They got especially the oranges too, the tangerines and that. They're shipped to Europe. But nothing, no oil at all. They have to get it imported because they're kind of locked in because they have a situation with Algeria. They have no diplomatic relationship with Algiers because they have some squabble about having Algiers go and put a pipeline to go to Atlantic Ocean, but they won't allow it.
Oh, really?
It would cost the Western Sahara. They didn't want to do it, so they don't have no diplomatic relationships. And a lot of their fortified and army is along the Algerian border. So, but it's very quiet, very, very nice to be there. No issues at all, and you wouldn't even know you're in a Muslim country in a sense.
Was the weather kind of like?
It was like here. It was in the low 40s and to the high 70s. About 72 was about the highest it got. So it was very moderate as far as this time of the year.
But you're not that far away from the Mediterranean Sea, are you?
Well, actually, it borders. Morocco borders somewhat on the Mediterranean and also Atlantic Ocean, that corner of Africa.
So you're right up on the corner of Africa.
Yes, and when it's the summertime, it's got beautiful beaches, and it's a very, very good place to visit. So
really,
like I said, we stayed in Rabat. We saw it, like I said, and then as we left Rabat, we traveled to the next city, which is Fez, and there we saw cork trees, which they actually take the cork off, and when they take the cork off, it has to be only done once every 3 years to let it grow back again. A lot of the olive orchards and
the cork is that like a bark on
the
tree?
bark you put in wine balls and all that.
Right.
Yeah, it's a cork tree, and they take the bark off. They take it off the whole tree, and then they have to let it grow back.
And it grows back in 3 years.
Yeah,
and
in 3 years.
Go back and
they
do
go
it again.
back and reharvest it again.
Really?
Yes, yeah. So, and then like I say, in Fez, we it's called the medieval Fez Al Bali Medina, which is there's about 9,000 people live in this Medina, which again is a fortified part of Fez. There was tanneries in there, again all the souks, and then we saw there's a Jewish community there within the Arab area there, where the second palace of the king has, and they have the Jewish cemetery there, and we saw that. It was kind of interesting, and they live in harmony. The Arabs and the Jewish community, they live real in harmony.
Really?
Where you see in Palestine, they don't live together.
Right.
But there they do a fantastic job there.
But when you say fortified city, does this go back to the Crusades when
Yeah,
they were being invaded by all the Christians?
Well, I think it really goes back to the being the western route of the silk trade. Basically, you had the Carthaginians and the Phoenicians who were there once.
Okay.
Then the Spanish came and they put the fort up there. But all these, what they call the fortified cities, is when these travelers came in as the caravans, they would stop there overnight, so they had to be fortified with the walls.
Okay.
And every city has these walls. It's interesting. It's like a safe haven, like a Holiday Inn going for the night. They would come in and stay there, and they'd be protected. They have the minaret there, and they have their place where they can sleep, and the animals are there, and so it's protected. They close the gates at night so nobody can get in there. So every city has this walled city.
Okay.
And it's the Kasara, I guess you would call it. A gated community, in a sense, is what we would call it today. Right. So that's kind of interesting there. So then as we traveled to Fez, we stopped at a Roman ruins, which is called Volibus. And it was old ancient Roman ruins there. You saw the ruts of the wagons that went through the way there, and then they had the...
this is ruts from the Roman days?
Yeah, right from the Roman days.
Really?
Yeah, it goes all the way back to Roman days. So the major ruin there that's really in, as you pass through Fez there.
Okay.
So it's a real interesting place to visit. And they have the three columns within the Roman structure. You have the Corinthian, then you have the Doric and Ionic, and the Corinthian is the most decorative of the three different columns that they built there. So interesting place to visit. It was very nice, and you can see it was like most places. They had earthquakes in Morocco, so that's it's all fallen down most of the Far East there. So
really.
And then that night we had a real great dinner night with the host family, and we had 3 tables of 8 people. We had actually 31 in our group. 16 were Chinese, and the rest were the.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there's 16. They all were from New Jersey, and then one family was
They
from.
spoke English?
Oh yeah, they spoke English. Yeah, they were from New Jersey. They're all Americans basically.
Okay.
So they were a good group. They all stuck together, while the other Caucasians they kind of stuck together.
Okay.
So they were an interesting group there. So, but then that place we stayed at with this house, and the husband and wife, they served a beautiful dinner there with, they had, first thing was all this sweets like baklava, all with honey type stuff. And then we had a great vegetable soup with barley and chicken in that, and there was so good. And then finally they came back with, there was chicken and beef, and fish, and then wrapped in phyllo. And it was so good. And then at the end, you have more baklava, more sweets, and then more tea and all that. So, and they were done by husband and wife, their daughter, and a couple servants. And they served all 24 of us. And it was just fabulous to sit around this couch, you know. And it's really interesting to have.
Sit on the floor?
No, it's kind of a couch type of thing.
Okay.
But the thing was down here, and then the one thing they had too was a big fruit bowl in the middle of the table, which had persimmon apple in there, and peaches, and all the good fruit in there. So
sounds
wonderful
fantastic.
dinner. Oh, it was really good. Excellent. Yeah, it was very good there.
So you guys were well taken care of. Sounds like.
Without a doubt, yeah, it was without a doubt. And then within Fez, they have the oldest university was called the Al Qarawiyyin, and it was good, dates back for like 400. It goes back to almost the earliest university in the world.
Okay.
And it was transferred now to Casablanca. So they don't have it anymore. We just saw where they actually taught the students there, and they had like an astrology map on the wall that had all these points of learning for astrology, mathematics, science, and all that. So you would go through all the stars there. So it was pretty interesting there. So, and then we saw the tanneries there where they actually took leather, dyed it and everything else, and they had things made out of it from footstools to bags to leather coats and everything else. It's incredible. I mean,
so in this this town you were in, Fez, is that's a huge shopping area then, evidently.
So, yeah, it's another city there, and with all each one you go to, they have these medinas where they have all these souks, or what they call shops, where you can buy things.
Okay.
And they're actually spaced out. You have all the fruits come, and then you got all the meats, and then you might have all jewelry and something else. So they were actually spaced out, which was real nice, but very narrow aisleways until you got into the main streets there. You could get lost in there. I mean, if you didn't have a guide, you could get lost and never find your way out.
Really?
Oh gosh, yeah.
But you're a master negotiator by now, I would assume.
Oh yes, I mean, well, for example, this shirt I bought here. I mean, you start off with 400 dirhams, which is there's 10 dirhams to the dollar, like $40. So I got down to $5 for this shirt.
You went from 40 down to 5.
Yeah.
That's pretty good negotiating.
That's pretty good negotiating.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, exactly.
See, that's what you learn by traveling all over the world like you do, right?
Absolutely, yeah. You have to negotiate. It's 50% or less in most cases, because they always start off and they say hi, and then they keep hounding you, and finally say, this is what I'm willing to pay. And they'll say, no, too cheap. And then all of a sudden, 5 minutes come back, okay, you can have it for this price. So that's what happens.
I had some luck in China, actually. I got two real, I'm talking about real Gucci purses now.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, for $3.
Oh, yeah.
Not bad.
You can negotiate there, absolutely, absolutely. So. Then from there, once we left Fez, we started travel to what they call the Middle Atlas. There's the Atlas Mountains that actually go across Morocco, and went through the middle part of it first.
Right.
And as we got to this town, they had ski resorts there. You wouldn't believe in Morocco, there's ski resorts.
Really?
Yes,
wow.
in this town called Ifrane, and a beautiful city there. And we went through these cedar woods, because a lot of their stuff they make is out of cedar wood. A lot of their kitchen cabinets, not kitchen cabinets, but any kind of furniture in there made of cedar wood. Okay. And they have the pine trees and everything else. Beautiful country there. Cool. Just unbelievable. You go from desert to this to then back to desert. So it's amazing country.
Yeah.
Amazing
well, Jim,
country.
we're going to take just a slight break here.
Okay.
We're going to be back in just a couple minutes, and we'll finish up all of this good stuff we got in front of us here. We'll talk a little bit about that and about the rest of your trip.
Okay.
So
we'll
be right back.
ONTV's 5th Annual Food Drive is happening soon, Saturday, February 6th from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Help us stock the shelves of the Orient Oxford Fish Food Pantry. Bring in 5 cans or $5 to the ONTV studio to enter our raffle drawings. There will be family fun entertainment throughout the event and great prizes to give away. ONTV is located at 1349 Jocelyn Road. For more information, call us at 248-393-1060 or visit us at orientontv.org. Help us help our community.
Traveling man Jim Roback with us again, and we're going to continue about his wonderful trip he just had to Morocco. So Jim, I know you were in, what was the name of the last city you were talking about?
Fez.
In Fez.
Yeah.
But,
well, actually,
but after that, we went to...
now we're going to go to, actually we're going to go, moving to Morocco, I guess the city's called Erford, E-R-F-O-U-R-D.
Okay.
And this is where the ski resort, and then we're passing through there to the next town.
Okay.
And so doing this, we went to as we were traveling, we went to a fossil factory, and apparently this...
Wait, a fossil factory?
Yeah, fossils.
Tell me about a fossil factory. What do they do?
What
they make fossils?
No, what happened is they own this big lake, which is, I don't know how many square miles, and this is some of the stuff they have here. Here's the fossils that are embedded in, like here's some eggs that there's fossils embedded in the eggs here. And then you have, here's these soap dishes that with embedded fossils in here. And so there's amazing amount. They make tables out of this. They make dishes. They make all kinds of stuff out of these fossils. They take out of this lake here. They make beautiful tables there and such. And these are the fossils that they take from that lake. It's all embedded. It goes thousands and thousands of years ago. So that's all kinds of fossils that they actually take out of the ground. And here's like a necklace right here. You can see a fossil. I'm not sure what they call it. Some kind of crustacean on this locket here, and so it's beautiful stuff. It's not too expensive. I think these would cost like $5 each. The eggs are like $5 each, so very inexpensive. But they have a whole factory that just deals in fossils. They make everything you can imagine.
So included on this egg, basically, they basically cut this out of rock, I assume.
Yeah, and I guess they.
And then they shape this egg, but inside of that, there's
all embedded fossils.
All these are fossils from way back.
Yeah.
When.
Whatever happened to thousands upon thousands of years, they own this whole lake there, and this is where they actually extracted from. So it was interesting to see that. And then once we left there, I mean, we'll try to get through this, is we went to the jeeps, which took us out onto the desert. Now, the next thing is they went across this desert, like 6 across. It looked like the Blue Angels. You know, they're going across 6, and they're trying to fight each other. They converge, go back and forth. I call them the white Moroccans instead of the Blue Angels, because there was 6 jeeps here. It was incredible there. So we went to the Oasis village there, and then this is where we had a luncheon in the desert. We stopped this oasis there, and it was interesting there, right? All these beautiful palm trees, and there they had wonderful bathrooms. They had a generator. They cooked all the food, and they cooked the foods in these what they call, if you have tangine chicken or tangine beef or tangine lamb, they cook it in this crock stuff, and they put it in here and put the top on to keep it warm. And this is kind of a replica of these tangines that they have.
They cook it in there?
Yeah, they can cook it. They put the charcoal underneath it, and they can put it in the charcoal, and they cook, and then put the top on there and cook the beef or whatever's in the vegetables and everything. And these are kind of replicas of them. I wish I could bring a bigger one back so you can see it there.
So what else did you eat besides beef?
Oh, there was beef. There was everything. Lamb, you can eat chicken. They had the vegetables, everything, and they cooked on a barbecue there. Yeah, no camels or anything like that.
No camels?
No dogs? So once we had that, and there's interest, the children there, they were selling their little wares there. I bought this from one of the children there. This was like $2, handmade, kind of an interesting little doll here. And the kids were about 6, 7 of them. They were well behaved, and they were selling this stuff. So we had to buy some. I mean, they're very interesting, the children there. So, and here's some other fossils right here. I mean, this is kind of the white stuff here, and I picked up a fossil here. We had a chance to go to the fossil beds and actually collect some fossils if we wanted to, so we had an opportunity to do that, yes. From there, then we went, as soon as we finished that, we went to the place where they actually had the camel ride. So we did the camel ride out to the Sahara Desert, went to the top of the dunes, and then we stayed there for the sunset.
Now, was this a one-hump camel or a two-hump
camel? Yeah, it was a one-hump.
Camel?
Interesting about that, there's most of the camels in the world are one-hump, and they're called dromedaries.
Okay.
The only 2-hump camels are in Gobi, Debre, and Mongolia. That's the only place that 2-hump camels reside. That's it.
Seems to me a 2-hump camel would be easier to ride than a 1-hump camel.
I don't know. They're more slow slung, you know, and those big ones there. You'll see some pictures of those we had.
Built for speed, huh?
Yeah. Well, they can travel up to 40 miles an hour. Camels in short distances. They
That's
can travel.
Heard.
Yeah, they can travel very quickly. So that was the night we stayed there till the sunset went down, and then we left. You know, a beautiful sunset coming down with the sun and everything. And we had a chance to roll down the sand. It was a young girl and I, Michelle. Her and I rolled down the hill of the sand dune. We had to go all the way back up again. It was kind of difficult, but her and I were the only 2 that did it.
Something like Sleeping Bear Dunes?
Oh yeah, same thing. Yep.
Okay.
Same thing exactly. Then we left there. We went actually back to the hotel. It was like late at night, about 8 o'clock at night before I got back. Then we started to leave and went to the city they called Ouarzazate. And this is the most famous place for the, not county, but films, where they make films.
Okay.
They have like 3 major sets there, and the Atlas is the biggest one there as far as they have the largest acre for these Hollywood sets. And they have made over 20 movies there from Lawrence of Arabia to Indiana Jones, Cleopatra, The Gladiator, and I think the other one says the Games of the Thrones. And a lot of movies are made there. They got all these sets there, and it's the 3 major sets there. And
it's right out in the desert?
Yeah, it's up in this town called Ouarzazate. And so it was interesting to see all those there.
It'd be a good place to do the scenes from the latest Star Wars, where they're out in the, they're kind of like out in the middle of the desert.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, from there, moving on to Marrakech, and we talked about the camels. Thing there, Marrakech is called the Red City because most of the buildings are kind of red, like the red sandstone. And we went the first night we stopped there. We went by ourselves. There's 4 of us went into town. They call the square there. We bought orange juice, fresh orange juice, squeezed for 40 cents a glass. It was a big, tall glass. And then we had dinner there. 4 of us cost $11 for 4 dinners. And then we had one of these things here. We had tangine chicken. This is what they call it. We have tangine chicken was in here. It was really good with French fries. Couldn't believe it. It was French fries. It was like $2.50. I mean, it was a ridiculous price.
Okay.
It was really, really unbelievable. And then, like say, we saw different people. They had belly dancers that night. You could pay them, and then they had snake charmers the next day with the pythons, and the flutes and all that. But you got to pay them a certain amount of money to have a picture taken with them.
Okay.
If you don't, they'll holler at you. They'll come and get you. Say you got to pay, to take a picture. So it's interesting. Still got fire eaters and everything else. So yeah, it was kind of interesting.
Was this like a show, or is this?
No,
something
it was
that
just
goes
a
on
big
out in the
square there where all the people just emerged. There was on. I'm not sure what day it was, but they all came in. There was thousands of people. In fact, they were showing The Godfather on an outside theater.
Really?
Yeah, in Arabic. It is The Godfather. It was incredible. So. The next day we visited another, like the tombs of the 16th century, which was the Saudin royalty. And then we went to call the minaret the Baha'i Palace. And inside these palaces, unbelievable. They had the Riyadh, and they had these beautiful gardens in the middle there.
Okay.
And they all open up to the sky, and just absolutely gorgeous. I mean, the mosaics and these riads and these castles, and unbelievable. It's just the amount of time they spend in there, it had to be incredible. So something to see once again. And then we saw children on the field trips. We took pictures of them, and they're well behaved with all the little teachers following them in there. And so and once again, you have the Medina where you go and buy different things there. And then that night was our last night in Marrakech. I went into Starbucks. I buy these mugs for my son. So I bought one from Morocco there. It was like $12, I think it was. So again, we had dinner that night. It cost about $9 for 4 of us. It was very cheap.
For 4?
Yeah, 4 of it. We didn't eat a whole lot. It was like shawarmas and whatever else. It wasn't a whole lot to eat there, but it's more than plenty. Then the next day, we went to the port town, or the city of I'm going to pronounce it Essaouira, and it's on the Atlantic Ocean. It took a bus ride all the way there, and we made 2 major stops. One is where we stopped where the argan oil is. All this argan oil right there, yeah. That particular bottle costs $35. And all this is done for cosmetics, and these are the cosmetics they have here, like in here.
Right.
And they're $20 each. This was for acne, and they also have for your facial thing. It's beautiful stuff that you can put on your face and such.
Do you have anything to stop wrinkles, Jim?
Oh, well, this is it. I mean, that cosmetic one over there. Yeah, that one right there. It's beautiful.
I better get some from you before you leave.
Well, you can buy it on the internet. A lot
can
of stuff.
you really?
Yeah, yeah. And it's much more expensive and better than olive oil. And that's mostly for salad if you want to put that in salad. So that's the argan oil. And it was interesting. There was a group of women. It was a community. All women did all the work, and they actually were cracking seed. The first one would crack the seed, split it, and then next there were 6 more women. They would have to crack the seed again to get just the seed out. And then 2 more women would put in a grindstone, and they would take 80 pounds to get 1 quart of argan oil. So 80 pounds of nuts to get 1 quart. That's why it's so expensive.
Wow.
That's why it's used in cosmetics. It's very,
and
very
they do
good.
it by hand.
All by hand. It's all by hand. Incredible.
Wow.
I mean, just people. And as we were traveling to this coast there, we stopped through this village there, and they had these cars that came from Sweden, like I guess it was a Volvo 404 or something like that. They're like 50 years old. They're still driving. They're a piece of junk, but they're all driving.
The old I remember, no, it wasn't the old Volvo. It was the old Saab that used to be a 2-cycle, and it had a stream of smoke behind it as it went down the road.
And
then like Cuba, I guess.
Yeah,
now.
it is. Well, you go to Cuba now, it's like warp zone, And as we were passing, we stopped on the side of the road, and guess what? You'll see the background here. Goats in a tree. Like
goats, come on.
Goats in a tree. 15 goats in a tree. And you got to pay these guys like like $1 to take a picture with these goats, And it was 15 goats there. I couldn't believe it. I just couldn't believe it. It's a fantastic thing to see.
Now, how in the world did those goats get up in that tree?
Beats the hell out of me. They must have to lead them up there some way, somehow. They must be very trained, I would say that.
But they stay up there all day?
They stay up there I don't know how long, because we were there for about 40 minutes, and then we left, and then I'm sure they're there for half a day for all the bus tours that come through that take the picture with it. And these guys got a good commercial deal going on there, so interesting there. So then once we got to the town there, they had again the Medina or the souks there, and then this is where I bought these swords here. The guy wanted, again, $400, he wanted $40 for this. I got them down to $5 each for these swords here. So and then you can see they got the camel thing on here, and they got, I don't know if that one has the red one on there, but the camel thing is right here. And
these are $5 a piece?
$5 a piece, yeah. They're cheap, If you take the blade out, it's not
much
of a blade.
But look at the outside, though.
Yeah, I mean, it's real nice
and
decorative. It's pretty neat there. So it's pretty inexpensive. You have to really negotiate there. And one of my partner, she bought a sheepskin for like $25. It was really nice, beautiful, yeah, really nice. And so there was a fish market. It was like 50 stalls of fish, and every kind of fish you can think of what they call belt fish, which are about 7 feet long. They're thin as this, and they're called belt fish. Okay. They're thin as can be, and they had everything from lobsters. Any name you can fish, they have it. And you can pick a fish, pay for it, and they would cook it for you right there on a barbecue.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Oh.
I mean, we had it. If we had known that, we bought it before we went by the port there. We got it there. We got a whole lobster for $2.50 and cooked right away. So I mean, all kinds of fish you can't imagine. Yeah, unbelievable. A beautiful town. It was a Spanish town at one time. It's interesting that French is spoken as fluent as Muslim in Morocco.
Really?
Yes, French is spoken all over the place, and it's amazing. So,
it's probably an old French.
Yeah, it was. They were for a long
community.
time there.
Yeah.
Yes, they were. And then finally, we wrapped up our trip going to Casablanca. And the major thrust of Casablanca was the Hassan II Mosque. I mean, it can house almost 100,000 people when people are there praying. It's right on the Atlantic Ocean. It's the most beautiful mosque you can ever. Just built.
Is this 100,000 people indoors?
No, indoors and outdoors.
Okay.
Because it was at a big area where they could be, you know.
Okay.
But just absolutely magnificent, right on the Atlantic
And they
Ocean.
pray what, 6 times a day?
5 times a day.
5 times a day?
5 times a day. And we were up to the door. We couldn't go inside. The guy stops, you know, because obviously we're not Muslim. We couldn't go inside there.
Okay.
But he said, oh, you can't go in, you know, because they had a kind of a guard there. And then the King of Arabia has a place there. It's over $10 million. He only visits like once times a year. That's all he visits there. It's beautiful. And like I say, Casablanca is very expensive to live in there. And then one of the major things, all the cities, as you go through down, they always have the main road is called Mohammed Drive or Mohammed V Drive.
Okay.
Because of the king.
Sure.
And like I say, he's a very good king. He's done a fabulous job, you know, with the country. It's clean. I mean, the streets are clean. You don't see any paper. Nobody drops anything. Even within the Medinas, it's clean. It's amazing how clean it is, the cities.
Fantastic.
And the super highways, they're toll roads, but they're very good. And
Is it like China where they have people actually out there, you know, that are cleaning up the roads,
Didn't
or do
see
they have
that,
equipment
no.
to do it?
I think they're just their culture. They don't. They're dropping anything on the floor. I
Okay.
mean, everything's clean. You know, it's amazing. And then the boulevards. I mean, in Casablanca, they always have roses are blooming 12 months of the year. Beautiful
Really?
white roses. Their boulevards are lined with palm trees, and just absolutely gorgeous. I mean, you can't believe the cities. They're just beautiful.
That's great.
Unbelievable. And then I said, you know, the last thing we saw was the Catholic church there, which is called the Notre Dame de Lourdes Cathedral. And they were singing in there. They were practicing for Christmas. They were singing some of the Christmas carols. Beautiful stained glass windows there and such. And
In English?
yeah, they did sing a couple of. We were there. They sung one in English, but they
Okay.
were singing in, you know, I don't know if it was I think it was in French the first time, and then
Okay.
Muslim, and then an English one there. But I just want to mention one other thing here. This picture here that we were at one of the Medinas. We're in Ouarzazate, and this fellow, he was actually painting this thing, and he was doing one color, sometimes a little bit different color, and then he would put it under a propane tank with a flame, and it would come out to this kind of a picture. It came out with the color and everything else. Absolutely unbelievable how good he was, you know. It just, I think this cost like $6 for this. And
Really?
the guy probably spent maybe an hour to do this, and it's just a beautiful scenes that he was drawing. And I mean, just by putting the flame under it, it brings out all this color in this particular film right here, or picture, I guess you would say.
Yeah.
And so.
Jim, we got about a minute left, so is there anything else that you want to cover on here?
I
that
think
before
the only
we,
other, this in one of the souks we bought one of these little sewing machines. You could just sew something right here, just for $2.50, a little sewing machine.
Really?
Yeah, so you can sew hem and all that stuff there. There's a little coin purse, and we bought like 12 of these for $1. And then pure dates, unbelievable. I mean, for like $2 and we'll have something to eat right here. And but with that, I would recommend Morocco to anybody. It's a great place to visit. So much to see, and clean and safe, and no problem whatsoever.
Well, what are you looking at for your next trip, Jim?
We're going to go to Dubai in February.
Oh my goodness,
Yeah,
really?
Yeah, we're going to Dubai.
That'll be a little more expensive. You won't get dinner for $3 for $11
No, I
bucks
understand,
there.
like $50 for lunch, maybe $100 for dinner.
Yeah.
If you go to the restaurant, so we're going to have to find some out-of-the-way places.
That's what I've heard.
Yes.
Bring your sandwich bag.
Absolutely.
Well,
Absolutely.
Jim, I want to thank you very much for joining us today. It's been a very interesting trip you've talked about, and maybe hopefully someday I'll get a chance to go too.
Well, I recommend it, tell you, George. I mean, if you want to go anytime, I'd be glad to take you.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much for joining us today on Active Living, ladies and gentlemen.